Good evening, everybody. System Chalk here with the 11th episode of our first run through the House of Light expansion to Book of Hours. Our first run through YouTube, that is. I am playing as the Archaeologist, which I think might have been possibly the first journal that I unlocked. No, sorry, it was a Toysporn that was the first journal I unlocked. Anyways, this was an early journal that I unlocked back in the beta, but I never saw it through to completion. So, I've changed around my plans for spring. I really did want to try and get the salon underway, but first of all, the ideal salon would include Douglas Moore, who we do not yet have in the book. And then on top of that, I am still struggling to find things like Marrows and such. So, by waiting, and I think I keep saying spring, summer, so I'm going to have to close the option of hosting it in the Physic Garden, and I don't actually have any other rooms to host it in. However, there are two different rooms that I might be able to host a salon in. One would be the Hall of Division, which right now is blocked by the Silvered Snares, and then also I think it's the refectory. Anyways, this is where the Curia used to be. So either I'll need Grail, which is a little easier for me to get, or Edge, which is also fairly straightforward, but a little bit more of a challenge. And we'll work this all out, but that's going to be the aim for the next little bit. Alright, so it's only been a couple of days since the last stream, but I do have a bit of trouble remembering what I was up to in each case. So we've got our old wound now. The wound is visible, the pain is not. Now I should have got this earlier just because it's a persistent memory. And here we have... Alright, the Locksmith's Dream, Stolen Reflections, the fourth volume of Teresa Galmier's expansive work, no longer a discussion of the dreams of artisans, but a valuable survey of other works. The tone is calmer than that of Trespasses, but occasionally fearful, even paranoid. This volume was published in 1926, but almost immediately recalled and pulped by the publisher at the request of the author or possibly the authorities, depending which story you believe. A few copies survive. Janus is the gatekeeper, the twin god, the god that wounds, the presager of changes, the sun, the moon, so we identify him with the watchman, the twins, the mother, with the forge, with the menascate, and the madrigad. He cannot be all these, can he? The Flamines knew the church, knew the dry land, knew Elagabalus. Is he then synthesis, or is he something else? In Galatea they call him Aeneas Lamius, but the Obliviates are notorious for their slanders. Janus has, they say, not one face but two, to which I reply, why only one? Why only two? Hersault and Coseley, according to Thomas Love Denman, once agreed that Janus was all the gods and none, but later Hersault described him as all the gods and Coseley favored none. Denman was a sinister dilettante, but this rings true of them both. So I have a revelation and the Watchman's Paradoxes. This is just going straight into my list of skills, and I'm trying to remember if we have a Revelations Revelations shelf or not. It doesn't look like we do. Confounding parables, foresight, hindsight, fears, impulses, intuitions, and salt and cheerful ditties. Fair enough. Sorry, getting a beep telling me my tea is done. Alright, let's just add this to my skill list right away. Use this lesson to acquire a new skill. And I guess I get to think a little bit about what the next couple of days will look like. I'm not so sure about trying to read the Beekeeper's Ends or Etery after. I guess I can read the Rose of Hypatia, given that I now have unlocked the Natan's desk. I'm trying to think of the best place for me to put the vegetables. The bridge. I guess I could fit it on the table. So the reason why these haven't turned into vegetables yet is just simply because I need to kind of monitor what I'm using my elements of the soul for. Seeing as I've abandoned the goal for a salon this season, it's a little bit easier for me to sort of step back and do a few of the other activities. But now I have a bunch of books to catalog, so I'll still have to try and find out how to divide my attention. But for now, we have the Watchman's Paradoxes, that amber preserves and is preserved by light, that to hatch is not to die, that the sun. There's a place behind the world called the Mansus. Deeds that would be impossible in the world are inevitable there. The Watchman, who knows all the ways of the Mansus, also knows how to make these deeds possible in the waking world. All right. So, again, a lot of these things are not going to wind up on the Tree of Wisdoms yet, simply because I don't have, or they're not level 2s. So, because I know that almost every skill is going to have a language at level, well, all of them will have it at level 1, but what I mean by almost everyone, there's going to be one of them which also has a language at level 2. So because I know it's going to be set up that way, I don't think we can keep any memories tonight. Because I know it's going to be set up that way, I want to make sure that I'm not committing anything until I, until I have the languages in place. As far as tomorrow goes, so we've got 3 uncatalogued books. We have 2 unopened packages. So that's technically 5 elements of the soul spoken for already. And then I would, if I can, like to read the Rose of Hypatia, although perhaps the need for the ink isn't quite there. So one thing I might want to do, this is more for my benefit. I think, if I recall correctly, I actually tried to rush reading this and then I was short one, so I'm going to just double check that right now. So Trist, I think our best was Edict Liminal. So then the best I could do here would be to add the Shears of the Sisterhood. Yeah, we're at 5 instead of... Okay. So I won't rush Rose of Hypatia. There's no major reason for me to read that today. There might be an argument for me waiting to see what the weather brings. So I'll start with that. And then I think... Okay, rain. So this makes Mrs. Kill a slightly... No, actually, sorry, it doesn't, because I don't have Arab. I'm mixing up my 2 runs again. Okay. So knowing that I don't have... knowing that I don't have Mrs. Kill as an option here, let's think about what Denzel can do. So with Denzel, he starts with 2 edge. We have metal, so we could give an extra edge there. And we also don't need to restore it because we can hire Denzel with the core or the health. So we're starting with 3. Now for memory, we should be able to get him up to 5, but let's just take a minute, make sure. Yeah, the contradictions should do that, so... Okay. And I don't recall... Okay, we do have the saw. Okay, so that brings us up to 6. Looking at the... So we have the silvered snares, so what we need to do now is either find a food or drink which will give 2 edge, or we need 1 of each which will give 1. So something like the pickled mushrooms would be an option in terms of the single edge. I actually think the Cater and Hero Second Flesh of Sam would also count for this. But I don't think about edge a whole lot, so it wouldn't be a bad idea to... actually, here's a fun one. So if I cut... Sorry. If I cook the acrid marrow, it doesn't get me any more edge. So I think we have a pretty clear idea of how we want the day to go. So let's talk with Denzel about... Well, talk to him with Shapt and then move on. I'm always welcome at Denzel Smithing. Denzel rarely works for free, but he won't take payment for helping a friend. So the first thing that I'm going to need is the edge. So I need to use an element of the soul to get the contradiction. I think probably I can use the tryst here because I don't see myself using any of the other like the moth, and I don't see myself going to Crowcross Sands tonight. So I have already mastered this, but I could reread it and perhaps recall a memory. Now, I should probably make some money at the Sweet Bones now. So fixing and mending, there's not much work on offer in Brandkrug, but I can find 6 pence worth of odd jobs, or add a coin to find visitors seeking employment. And I seem to recall, I thought I had a spare pitcher of water. It doesn't actually look like I do. But what I'll do is I will garden one more time, so I'll use the core for that. Carrots, tomatoes, marrows, and blessed onions, all the unsung heroes of the stew pot. So what I'm going to do with this one is I'm going to do the gardening now. We'll use the glass of water to restore the health, and then we will get another pitcher of water with the health at the end of the day. Okay. A small temptation that I have right now is to try and harvest eggs from the chickens, but that runs counter to what I'm doing with Denzel right now, which is to level him up. So my other option is to try and prepare food for the salon, but I don't have the food items for that. So I think we're just going to sit around for the next little while. I'll rush everything for Denzel, and then we'll maybe send him off to the room, and then we'll let the others work. Although one thing I can do is start cataloging the baronial period books. Catalog a baronial period book. This book was probably written around the time of Hush House's baronial period, roughly the 1500s to the 1700s. If I examine it, I can learn more about what knowledge it might contain. Speak to Denzel, he might even reply. Inspiration and determination. I think we can pour the glass of tea, or the cup of tea already, so pour out. Poured out. So I'll want to get another one of those. I believe I have the packet, I just need to actually brew it. Three flowers hath the tree. Ernestine Peterhans records her observations of the growths of trees and flowers around the isle and the omens and portents she attempts to draw from them, particularly the yew tree in Earl Bryan's meadow, whose flowerings are sometimes eccentric. So this will be a good one to try and do tonight if I can. And the High Traditions of the Noble Endeavour, a blandly positive work on the Endeavour Club published by the Endeavour Club. The club was founded in 1862, but it claims to draw from much older traditions. Now in this case here, this will give me Disciplines of the Hammer, although that will at least let me get it to level 2. Not that it has to match the lessons. And then this one has Leaves and Thorns, which I don't believe we have in our inventory yet. So there's a couple of reasons for me to read both of these. Our course is fixed. Alright, let's talk with him about a saw. Proffer a tool. I can lend my assistant something to help increasing their abilities. I can, of course, also give him the tea at this point, but there's no rush for that. I still kind of like to give the consumables at the end of the day if I can. And there's my Cater and Hero delivery. So this isn't going to be easy in terms of putting everything in place. As I used to say in my youth, the day is done, but and so am I, but I've earned my pay. It is summer, and I'm sitting on the bench outside the Sweet Bones, eating crumbly cheese and nettle wrappings and good black rye bread, soaking up the sun. And an Exorcist's Field Manual, a practical guide to troublesome dead, grounded in theory, but with a clear focus on their disposal, by the redoubtable Detective Ostiary Wheelock for the Suppression Bureau. The dead usually avoid light, as the most immediate manifestation of eternity, which has no place for death. However, those dead uplifted by gold, which is to say touched by an actinic theoplasma, happily bought about in daylight, and are perhaps strongest at noon. If you are dead but uplifted by green, that's the ring-use blessing. The crown growth offers a similar but nastier benefit. This is how burgeoning risen come about, but there are different degrees of sentience and freedom depending on which growths are involved. The consciousness of one uplifted by green is always greatly altered though they never really seem like the same person. They may have dregs of their original souls, but these are often replaced by something else. The upshot, invariably, is that they need to be set firmly on fire. Okay. I think I'm going to push ahead with Three Flowers Hath the Tree. Although I don't have a nectar. Ah, yes, that's the catch. So my second best nectar, I suppose... Oh yes, I also don't have... Well, okay, no, Spices and Savors will get me through. So I get my forge here, but not... Well, okay, I can still work with this. So I'll need to maybe bring back a shaft. But we got it. Exalt with a memory. I can discuss a memory with my assistant. So the trick on this one's going to be that because Spices and Savors has the 3 nectar and we just need 4, I can add either the cake bowls or the mortar and pestle to let's say Ambrose's desk to fix that. Oh my goodness. All right, 3 bags of sugar. How am I even going to make this work? Philopolis Bakery. I have no idea how I did that, but I kind of want to learn how. All right. So again, I've got an idea in terms of how this is all going to fit together, but I still need to do things like write the invitations and such, so we're not really going to move forward on these. I might do something with the health, but I do want to make sure that I've handled all the other tasks. Another thing I'd kind of like to do is feed the chickens again. Or at least, I guess I've kind of closed that option, but get an egg from the chicken and then feed it the next period. All right, I think this one's going on the bridge. One other alternative I have with the health is to open the package. Let's just take a quick look at what I wanted to make for the salon. So beef, game chips, a jumble, golden marrow, and... Wait a minute. Yeah, I keep counting 4. If I want to bring 5, I still need to do something. Anyways, I can make the game chips, so we'll start with that. Memories don't last long outside books, but it's made a difference for the day. Okay, so we're at 6. I believe we need 8 for the Hall of Division. So now we get to do the fun stuff. So a nice drop. I can offer my assistants something to drink. This will increase their aspects. They'll also be glad of the refreshment. Better now. Alright, we're going to do the same thing with the shaft again. Now this one we're going to use to read 3 flowers, half the tree. I always kind of like this one too, just because of its relevance to the later later parts of the game. But right, I can master this mystery. Now what I do for the rest of the day is a little bit more of a puzzle. I don't necessarily need more money, so I don't know if I want to just take that shaft and earn another 6p again. I could open the package, I could... Oh, you know what? I forgot to pour the water, or I forgot to renew the core. I think it's a little too late in the day to be able to drop the water again, so I'm just going to let that stay put. I can offer my assistants something to eat. This will increase their aspects. It's also just friendly. So yeah, whether I get an egg from the chickens isn't really as important anymore. I think we've probably just run we've just run a normal day, and we'll save everything for tomorrow. I suppose, though, at least we've got the new room open. I will want to try and make a little bit more of the start of autumn, though. So I theoretically will have 3 more items to make for the salon. I don't really think I want to do anything in terms of generating memories with Denzel, so we'll open up the hall right away. Silvered snares. The mirrors in this room teem with watchful spirits and perilous reflections. They can be mollified and banished, but only a fool would attempt a solitary exorcism of a room where all the haunts are doubled. Better now. Okay, so I'll renew 1 more. This one I'm still not sure if I'm using for money or not, but at least with this I can choose my task. So I can open up the lost packages. I can get an egg from Terrence or Tuppence. Actually, you know what? I'm not going to do either. I'm going to open the... I'm going to open the sack because I still need the golden marrow. This is a marrow. Promising. A dark marrow. In Bragkrug, they take their marrow seriously. This is a marrow with secrets. So that we can use to feed one of the chickens. The ideal in terms of setting up the invitations would be I get my cooking and the last inks made on basically the day before, and then we spend the entire day on the salon itself. Whether or not that works is another question, but... Okay, the Hall of Division. Ava de Wolf first furnished this as her Hall of Division, holding feasts where the guests were selected by unusual and exacting criteria. Later, Thirza Blake, 7th librarian, employed the speculist Pomander to add more mirrors. Lots more mirrors. We have the mirrors. It was often said of Lady Ava later that she was always good with mirrors. Grail, Knock, Winter, and Lantern. Also takes elements of the soul, lights, and memories. We've got a vase of amaryllis, a soft-flowered ornament. I think that's it, actually. Oh, sorry, of course, most importantly. Hendrick's Blade, a long hunting knife or a short close-quarters sword. Plaque reads Hendrik de Wolf, 1525. Okay. So we'll at least put the items in place. Ernestine, sorry, Three Flowers Hath the Tree. Ernestine Peterhans records her observations of the growths of trees and flowers around the isle and the omens and portents she attempts to draw from them, particularly the yew tree in Earl Brian's meadow, whose flowerings are sometimes eccentric. Ernestine observes that in the years when the tree flowers black, troubling secrets arise. When it flowers red, war and fires follow, and that no de Wolf heir has ever been born in a year when it flowers white. Ernestine attempts to use the tree's growths to advantage in her business affairs, but it fails. She is evidently very concerned when Hendrik de Wolf's grandson Giles runs off with a pale trollop Hafren in a year when the tree flowers white. She begins to fear she has entirely misinterpreted all the relevant omens. She is deeply concerned for the continuation of the de Wolf line and prays for Giles' return. So we get gossip for that, and leaves and thorns. So I don't recall if we have a gossip text or not. We've got revelations, contradictions. Hang on a minute. Storms, regrets, solace, patterns, more unlabeled. Confounding parables, foresight, hindsight, fears, impulses, intuitions, and then I believe it was salt and cheerful ditties. So we will replace revelation with gossip. Use this lesson to acquire a new skill. I also don't think this is one that I can take overnight with me. Better now. Okay, so the question is, what do I want to do with the metal? I don't think I'm convinced that I need the money, so I can talk with the chicken for an egg. I can try opening a lost package, or I could catalog one of the last books. Alternatively, I can open another one of the vegetable sacks again, but that's a fairly... Actually, I can do that twice. So this one, I think we are going to chat with Terence. Was this magnificent and indomitable beast named for the rector's indomitable and magnificent housekeeper? Best not to inquire too closely. Offer this beast my company? Who knows? Perhaps it will offer something in return. So because it only takes 5 seconds to open up the sack of vegetables, I figured I might as well pay to get the shaft back, and then I'll just be ahead one when it comes time to make the items. Another leaf on the Tree of Wisdoms. Leaves and thorns, there is no scent without sorrow. Okay, so that's the summer for us. The good news is we have at least covered the... Sorry, we've at least covered the requirements of... nuts. Sorry, I'm trying to remember what everybody needs again. So, Serena wanted forge, so Russ Cragen Whiskey Works there. Ah. Right. Okay. And now it suggests a meal would be welcome. Sorry, I realized I was mid-thought when I just saw everything. Let's deal with the vegetables and then I can finish the thought. So we'll open one of these. This is a marrow, promising. Okay, so basically, at the in the Hall of Division, we can still add 5 guests. So I would still like to invite Serena Blackwood, Fraser Strathcoyne, Olympia Bichet, and wait, Arthur? Yes, Arthur, and then Douglas Moore. I believe that should be the entire contents of my black book, or my eventually. Ah, here we go. There's the golden marrow. In Brandkrug, they take marrow seriously. This is accounted a beauty among its kind. This is exactly what I was looking for. But yeah, so the overall plan, I'm going to... So I first need to write the invitations, and then I also need to make the items. So I believe I was going to make a jumble and a golden marrow. Both of those are quite straightforward to make. The golden marrow is just a matter of the marrow and bronze knife, or well, any edge really, or blade rather. The jumble, I think, is just a question of sugar and almonds. Sorry, sugar, almonds, and then the spicing trait. So that's either spices and savors or the spice scales. But again, I need to, if I'm going to be inviting 2 lantern character, well, actually, I guess that's what the jumble does. But yeah, I think I still need to get one more dish. But I think I also have a few different options if it really comes down to tricky choices. But all of that will be something that we handle in a future episode. So if I am careful, I should be able to use both the core and the health to make the remaining dishes that I want. In a perfect world, I would find something to do with the occult scrap before I add Douglas's card. I have one more book to catalog, which is not bad. And then, I'm going to have to figure out, I think there's an open question in terms of what I do with the remaining Chapped and Tryst. But I think that's something that we can talk about in the next episode. So thank you very much for watching. For those of you that have been wanting to see the new content in the sense of the new salons, again, I apologize for having to delay that a little bit. I will just manage some expectations, so I've been trying to rush the salons. However, I do so with the knowledge that you do actually need elements of the soul to be able to really make the most of them. So I don't expect this to be a very productive one. It's more just, this is an opportunity for me to sort of show the activity and how it works so that we can do better for the next one. But in any case, all of that we will handle in future episodes. As usual, there won't be an episode on Tuesday, so I will see you all Wednesday. Take care until then.